Hello and welcome to a Spine and Dine podcast. My name is Ben, a physiotherapist trapped inside a chiropractor's body, and this is my friend Mira, the keto wizard. And we're here just to start this podcast and have a little chat about all things related to fitness and nutrition, pain, rehab, a few little tangents thrown in the mix, and basically seeing where these conversations lead us. We're hoping to get a few guests on the show to help counteract our biases and to help sort of navigate the fitness industry and health industry as well. I think it's fair to say that we've seen a fair share of out-of-date advice and unsettling sort of advice what has been given out through social media platforms. So we're here to sort of put our verdict across, try and be as unbiased as possible, and to give a well-rounded, unbiased, evidence-based approach to what we think is the best, essentially, if that makes sense.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of ranting about, and even though Ben said I'm a keto expert, I absolutely hate it, and that's why he said it. So I'm not expert on any diet. I'm a sports nutritionist, and I follow the evidence, not unlike the other experts, like keto experts and vegan experts and all of these. So I think this podcast is going to be a lot of ranting about misinformation and some practical advice alongside it.
Being as this is our first episode, we're just going to give you a little bit more sort of background information of essentially why you should listen to us and why you should trust us, okay? Because obviously we're just two guys here saying all this, but we could also be bullshitting you as well.
Right, so to start with, let's just get into our backgrounds then. So Ben, how did you get into chiropractic or physiotherapy?
So I'm a chiropractor by trade. Although I use spinal manipulation, I'm not one of these chiropractors who'll use it every single treatment and just purely adjust, manipulate. I use the sort of best practice guidelines, which for me is exercise and movement and using them as a treatment modality in their own right. How did I get into chiropractic? That's a very, very good question. I spent several years in the Air Force fixing planes, and always wanted to be a physiotherapist when I was growing up, just through various injuries playing rugby and seeing physios. Then I left, I was getting bored with the Air Force, and then decided to go back into back towards the healthcare side of things. Come across chiropractic, got sucked into it a little bit naive at the time. Bit of a toss of a coin in terms of do I go down the chiropractic route or physiotherapy route? And I felt like I had a decent background in physiotherapy, again being very naive in myself. I knew quite a lot of exercise, how to train, yada yada yada. So that's kind of what pushed me towards the chiropractic route.
Well, speaking of the chiropractic versus physiotherapy, what is the actual difference then? Because chiropractic has this weird sense of like that it's not very evidence-based, at least it's viewed, because you see all of these videos on YouTube, literally just cracking the spine and that's the whole treatment. So where does the difference lie between the physiotherapy and chiropractic, and how are you different?
So chiropractors practice very differently, so there's a wide spectrum. You get some people who are very purist chiropractic in the sense that they are checking for misalignments of the spine, and these misalignments cause interference on the nervous system. And the nervous system is the system which governs every single action and physiological response in the body. So thus adjusting these subluxations and realigning these subluxations, they take the pressure off the nervous system, and thus being at optimal health. That's one big philosophy or sort of thought process of chiropractic, which has been around for many, many years, yet has never been proven. Yet it's still employed by many different chiropractors. That being said, there's a big shift at the minute. You know, there's a lot of people like me who, you know, kind of lives like, well, we can't effectively say that because we don't have no evidence to back it up. And, you know, and these sort of chiropractors, you know, probably tend to practice a little bit more like a physiotherapy, but probably utilize exercise a lot more than manipulation. Probably still use manipulation like I do, but you know, they'll probably use other modalities of treatment to have them at the core element of their
So the typical chiropractic doesn't really do a lot of exercise or prescribe a lot of exercise.
They may do, but say like 90% of their treatment would be purely adjusting the spine and giving narratives of why they're adjusting the spine and this subluxation model. And then maybe sort of 10% on top, maybe just very basic exercises.
I mean, you gotta, give them kudos. It's a great business model because then people just gonna keep coming back.
People make coming back, exactly. You know, so it's a great business model. But you know, if we sort of take a look at the, you know, all the big reviews, what come out, and the nice guidelines through here in the UK, the National Institute of Clinical Excellence. You know, we should all be singing off the same page. And, you know, exercise is a very, very powerful tool. Yeah. What A, people can do themselves. B, is very effective in treating people's pain. And C, also has many other sort of byproducts to it. So one, you know, obviously, exercise feels really, really good. Okay, and then you're going to build strength, you're going to feel better, you're going to look better, you're going to build a lot of confidence. So there's a lot of other properties what goes with exercise, not just for treating pain, but also for them other aspects as well.
Do you think you're different because, can we say that you're athlete first? That you came into the chiropractic as an athlete?
Yeah, I mean, I played a lot of rugby, done a lot of CrossFit, and just gym. Always been sort of a very active individual. Always liked to run, and so coming into university, I was always very skeptical because we was taught to look for the rotations of vertebrae and to toggle them back into place. Or that's at least. It never got said like that, but that was always the narrative, right?
Yeah.
That these bones are movable. And obviously coming from a rugby background, it's a very big contact sport. And then I'm just thinking, okay, well, I played rugby for, you know, all these years, and it's a very sort of high impact game, and you're asking me to put this minor input into the body and expecting me to just rotate the spinal bone, the vertebrae back into place. It just doesn't sit with me, and it just doesn't make sense. So I was very skeptical.
So throughout your studies, you were questioning?
With my studies, you know, I was just going through ready to get the qualification so I can come out and practice how I want, because that's what you can do. You come out and you can practice, you can be super, you know, vitalistic, lining everything up for the chakras and etc. And that's fine. And some people like that, and I'm not bashing it. The only thing what I'm saying is like, from a moral point of view, like I can't stand by and just agree with that when there's no evidence to back it up, you know. And I think that's it for me. Some people love that sort of stuff, and that's cool. But for me, you know, I think it's a load of tosh.
Yeah,
essentially.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, nutrition is not far different from that. Because I mean, obviously you got nutritionists, you got dietitians, and you got nutritional therapists. So like, and each of them have completely different frameworks.
Yeah. So what's the difference? I think, sorry, go back to chiropractors. I don't think I answered your question. The difference between a chiropractor and a physiotherapist. So physiotherapists, I think, will utilize exercise for a given population to make them stronger, prevent them, reduce their falls, in order to make them sort of fit and capable for life, okay, and come back from various injuries, in a nutshell. Whereas chiropractic primarily uses the subluxation model, what we spoke about. So that's the difference between the two.
Yeah.
I might not have got the physiotherapy bang on, but I think generally speaking, that's pretty much the crux of it.
There's another discipline, right? Osteopath as well.
Osteopathy, yeah.
So how would that be different to these?
Again, we should all be singing on the same page if we're going by the same guidelines, right?
Yeah.
Because their guidelines are there for our guidelines and taking us forward using the best evidence, best evident guidelines to treat patients. Osteopaths, again, I'm not too sure. I've got a lot of osteopath friends and a lot of good osteopaths as well. And I might get this totally wrong, but when we was going through university, I thought that osteopaths their philosophy is on the circulatory system, and if that's in optimal condition, then the body's in optimal condition. Sorry, osteopaths, if I got this wrong, okay? And then chiropractic is nervous system. But then later on in my chiropractic studies, I heard that osteopaths also believe on the nervous system. I haven't got a clue, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think there should be much difference between them all. We're all probably going to use manual therapy techniques, whether that be acupuncture, soft tissue work, release techniques, mobility with movement, manipulation. But at the core of it, I think exercise should be a good part of that with some very good sort of coaching and advice.
Yeah, I mean, essentially all of these disciplines are treating the same problems.
Yeah.
So they should really have the same solutions.
Yeah.
Even though it's going different way, it should still end up being, trying to get stronger, trying to get fitter and release the pain.
Yeah.
Really.
I know, we're making people able to have a good crack at getting themselves better if it comes around again, right? Because if we're sort of setting them up for failure, if they have this same issue again X months down the line, then we're not doing our jobs right.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of people will do, is kind of use their narratives to make the patient feel vulnerable and that they need this person to get them better.
Yeah.
When in the grand scheme of things, you don't, technically, healthcare professionals should be doing it. And I've been told by healthcare professionals too, to say to the patients, if you don't come see me, your joints and your spine will become dysfunctional and wear down, which is absolute bullshit.
Yeah.
So, but it's a complex thing that we could go on forever.
Yeah,
but
we could. But I mean, essentially, this is why we actually created this podcast as well, and why, even though we are from different disciplines, we agree with each other in a sense that we try to avoid all the bullshit, first of all, and we try to teach our clients enough so they don't need to see us again.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of practitioners, unfortunately, do the opposite. But
so going back to you then, and I guess many people know what's the difference, or won't know, sorry, is what's the difference between a nutritionist and a dietitianist, and a dietitian and a nutritional therapist. Is that right? Nutritional therapist?
Nutritional therapist, yes. Well, I guess I'm going to start first also introducing myself.
Please.
So my background is in dancing, as I'm a break dancer or breaker.
Breaking nutritionist?
Breaking nutritionist or breaking nutrition. And pretty much thanks to dance, I got into sports science and sports nutrition. So I was very selfish when I started. So I was thinking, okay, I want to dance as long as possible. So I should probably learn about exercise and nutrition and longevity in that sense, so I can dance as long as possible. So that was the main thing why I went and studied sports science first, and then I did masters in sports nutrition. It was purely for my gain to learn enough so I can dance longer. But then obviously I got very interested in like all of the diets and all of the dietary approaches. I've tried pretty much every diet possible. I've been even pretty extreme vegan, which was probably the best thing I've ever done in terms of like getting out of the misinformation kind of cloud.
Well, what do you mean?
So I was vegan for 2 years, and the way I got into it was through these documentaries on Netflix, you know, Forks Over Knives and like now Game Changers and stuff. And I was listening to all of these claims, and I thought because it's in a documentary, it must be right. And this is my bachelor degree, sports science. So I did have a little bit of sports nutrition there, but a lot of the nutrition was self-taught at that point. So I pretty much taken everything, and I thought, okay, veganism is the best thing in the world, and I don't understand why people not follow it.
It must be true.
Exactly. So I went that extreme that like every single assignment I did at uni at that point, I was trying to make it about veganism or the food, and I was trying to promote veganism. And eventually that was what made me stop being vegan, because I just got to the point where I couldn't argue with my professors. And like it was like one specific assignment in nutrition where I tried to support the claims from the documentaries and also the claims I just found on the internet. And my professor just completely destroyed me. And I had nothing to say. Like my ego was completely broken. And after that I was like, wow, this is like, I was still walking out and thinking, why are they so blind to this?
Right? So even though they said that, you didn't believe them?
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
But like, it made me think, right? So like the ego was still there. So I was walking out and I thought, oh, they don't know. But like come on, like they've been like researching this for years, you know, like I would have like 3 professors from like different areas of nutrition debating me. And I'm there like, you know, 21-year-old trying to debate back from claims that there's just not enough credibility in the evidence. It's very much just cherry picking studies in veganism. And yeah, after a while after that, I just thought, okay, I can't be following something which has no evidence, pretty much. And also because of university, obviously, when I got more into like how to actually read studies properly, the methodologies of studies and stuff, then like I started realizing, okay, yeah, like all of that is just bullshit, you know.
Yeah. But that's a skill in its own, though, isn't it? Like trying to read the research and navigate through what's good and what's bad.
Yeah.
You know, because we can have the conclusion can be very sort of worded very biasly.
Yeah, you can't just go read studies and go to conclusion and conclude based on that. Like,
yeah, there's many other things you have to check in.
Yeah, you can pretty much, whatever your narrative is, you can find studies which kind of support your narrative. So there's really no point, really, just pretending to be reading it.
So going back then, what does a dietitian do? And
So dietitians, nutritionists. So yeah, really, you have nutritionists, you have dietitians, you have nutritional therapists, and then you could say you have sports/performance nutritionists. So I am sports/performance nutritionist, which also comes down to the nutrition kind of part. So each of these disciplines have their own bodies in the UK. Nutritionists got AFN, nutritional therapists got BANT, and BDA is for dietitians, pretty much. Different bodies, different approaches to nutrition, and also they work in different scenarios. So dietitians mostly work in hospitals. So even if I wanted to, I would not be able to get into hospital as a dietitian because I haven't studied dietetics. It's like pretty much nutrition focused on diseases and post-surgery nutrition, or like intubation and the feeding through the tubes, and like very like hospital-based nutrition essentially. So completely different So if these people want to then give nutrition advice to like athletes or whatnot, they have to get another qualification or certifications, because really they don't know anything about exercise science and exercise physiology. So unless they are obviously interested themselves, they did some self-study, then they can do that. But typically they just work in a hospital and that's it. Nutritionists are a bit more focused on general population outside the hospital. So like, pretty much, if you want to gain muscle, lose weight, and just get healthier, you can see a nutritionist, AFN registered.
And will all nutritionists have some exercise physiology in the bag, or not necessarily?
No, pretty much only the sports/performance nutritionists have the exercise physiology background. These nutrition degrees, the AFN registered nutritionist. To be fair, I would be lying, but I don't think they have any exercise physiology knowledge. They should still be able to support, sports performance goals. I don't think it's that much different or difficult. I would say the difference would be, if you have let's say if you have a triathlete, and you need like a proper nutrition beforehand or during the race or preparation for the race, these kind of details are definitely not taught in classic nutrition or dietetics degrees.
Okay.
And then nutritional therapy, honestly, that's the weirdest one to me. I've actually experienced, I did a placement at nutritional therapy clinic when I was doing my bachelor degree. And at that point, I wasn't vegan anymore. I was kind of like, okay, I now know how to navigate in this space. And my job at the placement was observe nutritional therapy consultations with the professors. So the students of the course would be doing consultation in a room, and we would see through the camera. And then we would give them feedback how the nutrition consultation went. And what was interesting to me, that like, they are pretty much, again, like physiotherapy and chiropractic, they're trying to solve the same issue. So there would be athletes coming in, there would be people who want to lose weight, but their approach would be completely different. They would never talk about calories. Like it's pretty much, it seemed like it's forbidden, like you're not gonna track calories. So they're trying to give advice based off of, okay, so you're gonna eat a chicken like which is size of your palm, and like you have like a handful of nuts, and like like trying to have like references to the portion sizes rather than saying just weigh 200 grams of chicken and then put in your food.
Yeah, I've seen that before.
Yeah, so that's very nutritional therapy. They also like to do partner up with supplement companies and recommend supplements throughout their consultations. That's very common. So they try to portray it as a holistic approach to health. Some of them I've seen, like they literally feel like they are like the new doctors. They try to do like full medical history and then give a certain advice on nutrition, how they can pretty much treat anything, which obviously is weird. And if you don't think it's weird, I don't know. But yeah, and also the fact that, they would, at the end of the consultation, just say, okay, just like buy these supplements, and obviously you're getting commissions from it. So it's pretty much like doctors, getting commissions from, certain drugs. So in that sense, I did not really agree. And I try to argue with the professors, like, why are you not counting calories and stuff? And like a lot of them were just saying that it's about the emotional aspect of counting and stuff, that some people might find it intimidating and not stick to the plan, which is true. It's definitely not for everyone. But if you have a client who cannot follow like your palm portions and stuff, and let's say they want to lose weight and I'm still not losing weight, they have to count.
Suck it up.
Yeah, like otherwise, obviously, the portion sizes are just way too big.
It sounds like in the nutritional world, and then the chiropractic physio-osteopathy world, you know, it sounds like we're all trying to get from that A to B and taking a client, a patient from A to B. You know, there's multiple routes what we can sort of take there. Obviously, some are more sort of science-backed and evidence-based, but of course, them routes may not work for everybody. You know, and you may have to try different routes.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean that's also that's why these disciplines exist, right? So like, let's say if someone with known or at least predisposed like eating disorder comes to me, like I can't work with them. You know, like even if I wanted to, and I probably could help them, I can't work with them by law. I mean, I'm putting myself at risk, but also like that's more for like hospital-based, like dietitians or psychotherapists. Like, I mean, eating disorder is a lot of, you know, mental health. It is pretty much a mental health disorder. So I wouldn't be able to pretty much help.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Well, insightful. I didn't know what the difference between a dietitian and a nutritionist was. I just thought it was all the same. I guess like people like chiropractors and osteopaths.
Yeah. But obviously there is a cross-reference, like it's going to be the same, like you're a chiropractor, but like, you know, physiotherapy and you like the exercise and, you know, you help people through exercise. There's going to be dietitians and nutritional therapists who have sports backgrounds, and they're going to do the same, and they're going to be very knowledgeable about the whole space.
Maybe there's a lot of maybe some physiotherapists watching, and that's a very, I'm playing it down there, like physiotherapists just give that exercise. It's so much more than that. And I think that was my naivety when I was wanting to be a physio or chiropractor. Just my naivety, and a physio just give exercise, you know. They should be given a lot more credit in terms of what we do with diagnosis, with management, with critical thinking, you know. And it's not just a case of giving exercise, because people just assume that physios give exercise because somebody's weak and we need to strengthen things up, but that's not the case. Like very, very rare do I just give somebody sort of like, look, you're very weak, we just need to get you stronger, then all your pain's going to go. You know, it goes much more deeper than that, and that's one thing I've learned as I've gone through my sort of journey. So if I offended any of the physiotherapists listening, okay, well, I'm sorry, and hopefully that sort of ties it down. So,
same for me if I offended any of the dietitians and nutritional therapists.
You'll be right. Sorry. But yeah, I think, so you should have a nice little sort of introduction to us both there. A little bit of background information about us. It goes far more deeper. And yeah, hoping to the next chat, don't know what we're going to chat about, but we're going to start to open the can of worms, dive into a few different topics. Hopefully these are going to be relatable to the viewers, and we'll base it from there, you know. And I'm excited to see where this goes. And
obviously, if you're watching this, somehow you found this podcast and you're watching this, just message us and give us questions as well.
Yeah,
like we can literally just ask them
won't shy
at
away.
Any point. Yeah. Whatever interests you in the nutrition and chiropractic pain space.
Pain, injury, rehab.
Cracking spines.
Yeah, I'm the worst manipulator. All right.
All right.
Thank you.